call the regular meeting to order. Clerk of the board, please call roll.
Arencibia,
Present.
Emerald. Present. Lopez Zepeda,
Present.
Segura,
Here.
Solis,
Present.
Aguirre.
Here.
This is point on agenda where members of the public may address the board on matters posted for the special meeting and in accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3A. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the legislative body concerning any item that has been described in the notice for the meeting before or during consideration of that item. Each person wishing to address an item on the meeting notice in closed session will have 2 minutes to do so.
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
If there is no further communication, I'll resist the meeting for the consideration of the following closed session items as posted on the meeting's notice. And there are 5 of them. Student expulsion, suspended expulsion, reinstatements, Education Code Section 48916-48918, students ID'd by case number 2, public employee evaluation, employment transfer, Government Code Section 54957, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, Government Code Section 54957. 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2, subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956. And 5, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. I think that was it. We will now adjourn to closed session. Regular board meeting. Clerk of the board, please call roll.
Arencibia?
Present.
Emerald?
Here.
Lopez Zepeda?
Here.
Segura?
Here.
Solis?
Present.
Aguirre?
Here.
Carriaga?
Here.
Thank you. We'll now have a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. If we could, in the moment of silence, reflect on the, unfortunately, most recent school shooting and other shootings in banks and unfortunately, that have taken place since we last met. So we could do that. Thank you. Hand over your heart, please. Ready, begin. The board met in closed session preceding this meeting to discuss the following issues. 1, student expulsions, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code Section 48916 to 48918. Students identified by case number 2, public employee evaluation, appointment transfer, Government Code Section 54957. 3, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, Government Code Section 54957. 4, Commerce's legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code, section 54956.9. 5, Commerce's labor negotiator, Government Code, section 54957.6. The board took the following action. Moved by Arencibia, seconded by Solis, to approve the appointment of Dr. Richard Cook as principal, Granger Junior High School, with a vote of Arencibia, yes; Emerald, yes; Lopez Zepeda, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes. Moved by Arencibia, seconded by Solis, to approve the appointment of Diane Huslin as principal, Eastlake High School, with a vote of Arencibia, yes; Emerald, yes; Lopez Zepeda, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes. I think that's it. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for April 10th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and second, vote please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia? Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. The board is very proud to recognize the Bonita Vista Lady Barons basketball team on their stellar season. The team finished with a very strong overall record of 23-10 and a league record of 8-0. They won the CIF Division II Southern Regional Championship and finished as Division II runner-up in the state championship. Wow. The team excels on and off the court with an overall GPA of, they're just showing off, 3.56. We are very proud of their excellent performance this season under the direction of Coach Tristan Lamb. Please help me congratulate the Bonita Vista High School girls basketball team. And if they're here, if they could please come forward. If any of them are here, or the coaches are here, or of course they're here. Awesome. Coach, you're more than welcome to say a few words, or more than a few.
Use the mic.
Yeah. You can use the mic, sir. Just state your name, sir. Just state your name, sir, and use the mic.
Tristan Lamb, the head coach of the girls basketball at Bonita Vista. And, here are the girls. And I just wanted to point out the work and dedication they put into this season. It was a memorable season. I know they're going to remember this season for the rest of their lives. And, it was a great way for us to end our season. Through the whole season, we always said that, we wanted to keep playing until there was no more games left to play. That's the reason why we wanted our season to end, because there were no more games left to play. And they did that. They really made me look like a good coach. All of these girls did a real good job. They worked hard throughout the season, and I couldn't ask nothing more from these girls. This is a great group of girls. They came out, they did what they were supposed to do. And one thing we wanted to make sure that everybody knew, the community support was like no other. Like, we had a lot of support from the community. People were packing the gyms for us and cheering us on. As we got deeper and deeper, we felt that, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. The board will come down and take a picture with you, and then we have some certificates for you. Coach.
Yes. Some of you guys get in the front.
You guys can all look here first, and then you guys can look wherever you have. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Principal Romero, please go ahead.
You know, if I could say something, because I like to hear myself talk, but
No.
you know, I don't need to say about the character and the drive of these girls. I've never been at a school where you had a team that played like them. They were relentless every single game. It was amazing. But what I do want to talk about is our Coach Lamb. Coach Lamb was selected CIF Coach of the Year, and we didn't get a chance to talk about that. But the part that I really want to talk about is that this guy has set up this community. And so his wife is a statistician, and his kids sell tickets and sell food every single game. All the parents out here, they're work during the games, they're cleaning up, they're janitors, they're cooking food, they're doing everything. We got a mascot out here. She'll put on the bear and mascot. And this man has set up this program, so it's a whole community and it's a family. And another thing I want to say is that the last game at Bonita Vista High School was a big game. It was intense. Coach Lamb is an IA at our school for our special needs kids. One of his kids came in a wheelchair. Dad brought him in. And right before the game, people didn't see this, but he stopped what he was doing, walked over to this kid, gave him a hug, and thanked him for being there. And that's something that is very special about this man, and I wanted the board just to note that. He's a very special man, and he does a wonderful job, and we're very proud of the coach, and we're very proud of our girls. And thank you for that opportunity to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. So now would be a good time to walk out of this meeting if you if you don't want to. Good job. All right. Before the next recognition, I would like to ask the board to consider board agenda item Q1 to adopt resolution number 4838 designating April as Donate Life Month. Do I have a motion?
Second.
The seconded vote?
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez de Peda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great. The board is pleased to welcome Ms. Christy Heyman, Life Sharing School Outreach Coordinator, who has a presentation for the board.
Good evening, President Segura, Vice President this is not going to be good. Arencibia, members of the board, and Superintendent Aguirre. I want to thank you once again for adopting the resolution as Donate Life Month. It's very important, and I think you know that Paul is here tonight. This is Paul Woods. He started this.
Welcome, Mr. Wood.
He started this many years ago with the board, and about 2016, he came and asked you if you could declare Donate Life Month in April in this school district. And the neat thing is that he hasn't been here for a couple of years for good reason, and he'd like to say a couple words.
Absolutely.
Good evening. I want to be here to thank the board for your continued support. It's a precious topic to me. In June, it'll be 10 years since I had my lung transplant. Thank you. Unfortunately, I've had my ups and downs, and I'm back down to where I was 10 years ago. The good news is, 3 weeks ago, I was listed for a second transplant at UCLA. So keep on donating, keep on supporting this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We're so happy to have Paul with us tonight. He's a life-sharing volunteer, and he's one of our speakers that goes out into the high schools to educate students about organ and tissue donation, which has become very important, especially in the Sweetwater schools. And I have to say, you're the biggest school district, and you're the one that supports us the most, all of your teachers, and they're really on board, the science and the health teachers. So I just want to say thank you again for declaring April as Donate Life Month. And we were going to have Monique Pascuzzi here. Uh-oh, where do I need to?
The arrow?
Yeah. Unfortunately, she had an emergency today, but she was going to talk to you. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her story and what she was going to talk about. But we want to thank you again. The theme this year for Donate Life Month is Make a Splash, which is kind of cool. It's about the concepts inspired by the role frogs and toads and water lilies and lily pads play in the healing and renewal, reminding us of the support and collaboration just needed for hope, and it's always in bloom. And we invite everyone to register as an organ, eye, and tissue donor to give the gift of life. And there's one good example of the gift of life in this room, and this is Paul Woods, who received a lung transplant because someone gave him the gift of life when they passed away, and gave him a left lung. So we thank you very much for that. So let's see if this works.
The other way.
That's probably what the
There you
problem
go.
was. All right, so sorry about that. So Life Sharing is an organization in San Diego that coordinates the organ and tissue donation process. So that's when an individual's life can't be saved. It's our job to find organs and tissue, to take the organs and tissues and give them to someone else. To give a life-saving transplant. So we help transplant hundreds of organs and tissues every year, hearts, lungs, livers, and kidneys. And we also recover tissue for transplantation, and donated tissue can really improve a quality of life in many people. Corneas can restore sight, and skin can help burn victims, tendons can help rebuild joints. And we all know people probably who've had an ACL, needed an ACL replacement, right? So they get those from donors most of the time. And also, we're just the federally designated organ procurement organization for San Diego and Imperial counties. So organ donors in San Diego and Imperial counties saved 437 lives last year here alone, which is another record year for us. 32,000 people were helped by local tissue donations. So all of this was possible because donor families, in the midst of their grief, did something nice for someone else. And just to let everybody know, a single donor can save up to 8 people with organ donation, restore sight for 2 in eye donation, and heal over 75 people with tissue donation. So why is this work important? There's over 106,000 people in the United States waiting for a life-saving transplant. Paul is actually one of them. He's waiting for a right lung transplant now. He has had an amazing 10 years since he received his left transplant. And now, if he can get his right transplant, he'll be right here back in the schools talking to these students about how they can save lives through organs and tissues. So we hope that will be. But just to give you a perspective, if you fill 2 stadiums, that's about how many people are on the national waiting list. Every 10 minutes, somebody's added to that list, and 82% of them are waiting for kidneys. And while they're on dialysis, maybe it's not a great way of life. And so many transplants are performed every day in the United States, but unfortunately, 22 people today are going to die because an organ didn't become available for them. So all communities are impacted by the organ shortage, as you can see. The largest percentage waiting here in San Diego, there's about 2,000 people here waiting for a life-saving transplant. And the largest percentage is Latino and Hispanic. And many of these classes we visit include Spanish-speaking students, as you know. So this year, one of the teachers in the district requested that we transcribe our slides into Spanish. And so we did that, and she asked me if I had a Spanish presenter, and I do not. So the neat thing is we all came together and did the slides. We presented it in English, but we used the Spanish slides, and it worked really well. She was really excited about that. So now we're able to use that in other parts of the district where we are presenting in English so that the Spanish-speaking students can have this as a guide while we're going through it in English so they can understand things better. So we're looking forward to, what happens in the future with that. And we want to recognize the Sweetwater schools, all of them, for their outstanding efforts to educate students on how to save lives through organ and tissue donation. And it's an honor to partner with the science and health teachers in the district. And the board's efforts in promoting donation does make a difference because students learn about this important decision. So remember that being a donor is about helping people even after you're gone. What a difference we can all make. And since Monique can't be here, I just want to say that she's actually the daughter of the late San Diego Fire Rescue Captain, Robin Cervantes. And she wrote an op-ed piece for the San Diego Union Tribune, and I don't know if you've seen it. I think it was last week. You'll find it under Monique Pascuzzi, where she wrote her entire story. And I'd just like to share just a little bit of it, since she can't be here. So she said in the early 2000s, when she was 16, about 2 weeks away from getting her driver's license, which she equated with freedom, and I'm going to say it as she says it because she writes it in the I. Before I could pass the DMV driver's test, I had to pass my dad's driver's test. On the road, he started ordering me on where to turn and where to park. Then he announced his verdict. I had failed his test to reschedule my DMV appointment. I knew that being a firefighter and paramedic, my father had been on the scene of many awful accidents. But I still thought he was being unfair. It was during his intense discussion that we started to talk about organ donation. I asked if it was true that medics won't try to save your life if you're a registered donor. I will never forget what he said to me. Moses, that was my nickname. When I'm out in the field and I get the call to a horrific accident, all I'm thinking about is trying to make sure everyone is alive and safe. And the way he said it has kind of made me feel dumb because I knew my dad was going out to save everyone and he wasn't going to let anybody die. He took his job seriously. So my dad said that being a donor was an easy way to help someone in need. So a month later, when I finally got my license and registered as a donor, and honestly, I never thought anything about it until 20 years later. By that time, I was a mother, wife, college graduate. I was enjoying life. And then we got an unexpected call. My dad had suffered a seizure. I raced to the emergency department at UC San Diego Medical Center, where I found my dad in bed, unresponsive. I stayed in the hospital all night, trying to make sense of it all. Despite every effort of the medical team, my dad had suffered a fatal brain bleed. He had died September 2nd, 2019. In the middle of the chaos, I had recalled our conversations about organ donation. I wanted to at least give someone else a chance at life. So we spoke with Life Sharing, and they found matching recipients for my dad's liver, kidneys, and heart. So then I got a letter from the family of my dad's liver recipient, and I cried. Then I got a card from my dad's heart recipient. I really cried. My dad's heart was so special to me. He had a lot of daughters too, so he must have been a pretty neat man. So last year, Life Sharing honored my dad in the Rose Parade, and then his floral portrait was featured on the 2023 Donate Life Parade float. And we traveled to Pasadena to watch his picture floated down Colorado Boulevard. And organ donation has given me hope. It's given my dad's life more meaning because the story didn't end that day. If you're curious about donation, I encourage you to learn more, talk to your family members about it. And I know these conversations might be difficult, but they're easier to have now than in the middle of a traumatic experience. In a way, organ donation gave me and my dad a second chance at having a relationship, one I didn't think was possible. It was like all the life lessons my dad was trying to teach me made sense. He is missed every day, and he remains my hero. There he is. So when he passed away, UCSD did their very first honor walk, which was really neat. So what happens in the hospital is the nurses and all of his firefighter buddies came and lined the hall on his way to the operating room. So it's a really neat film, and I'm going to send you the link tomorrow so that you can watch it. It's very short. It's just a 2-minute thing, but it's very honoring, and it means a lot. So thank you for giving us time today, and we really appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind, we'd like to have a group picture with Paul.
Oh, absolutely. We'll come down there. First, any comments from the board on this?
Yes.
I'm sorry I got choked up. When my father passed, we were in this dilemma as well. And of course, he lives on. Recently, almost every family member has participated. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it is a thankful opportunity for someone to take advantage of.
Yes, it is.
And it's always important to have the discussions before we get to a situation where it's very challenging to.
Yes. Well, he was a hero. He is a hero today. So, thank you for sharing that. That means
Thank
a
you.
lot. Means a lot.
Trustee Emerald?
Thank you so much, and thank you for that great presentation. And of course, we love Paul. While we're here at the district, we were all really impressed and inspired by your courage and your ability and your willingness to come in each day and do the hard work that needed to be done. And all of us have been rooting for you all these years, and good luck with the new surgery. And by the way, signing up to be an organ donor is it's really an easy thing to do. Anybody, in fact, some of your kids, students in the high schools going into the DMV to get their driver's license, just mark that box that says organ donor. And when you get that beautiful new driver's license, there'll be a little pink dot on it, imprinted in it. And you don't have to think about it afterward. You know that whatever happens, you may go earlier than you had hoped, but somebody will benefit from your donation. So remember the DMV. Get that pink dot on your driver's license, okay?
Thank you. Thank Ms. Heyman. Thank you, Mr. Woods. We'll come down there. We got a couple certificates to give you, but thank you for sharing those powerful stories and a reason why we need to do this. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us
Did
time.
you want to hear the public speaker
Oh,
first?
yes, let's hear the public speaker
Sorry,
first.
Michelle Beal.
I remember it like it was yesterday, April 13th, 2003. The doctor looked at me and he said, "Okay, Michelle, if you're ready, we'll give you a little something and we'll get started." I said, "Well, I'm really terrified. I'm ready, but if you can give me a lot of something, we can get started." The doctor laughed and said, and that's the last thing I remember. A few hours later, when I finally came to and realized and familiarized myself with where I was, I immediately asked my husband, "Is she okay? Is she okay? Tell me she's okay." To which he smiled and he responded, "She's fine. She's totally fine." At that moment, I let out a huge sigh of relief while realizing I had just given my mom the best gift that I could ever give her. No more crappy gifts for her. I gave her a kidney, which meant she had her life back. 12 years later, watching my mom live her life to the fullest and enjoying each day simply reaffirms my decision to be a living donor. Donation is one thing, and being a living donor is another. As they stated tonight, there are currently more than 106,000 people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, and sadly, over 6,000 people die annually while waiting. Nationally, the average wait time for a transplant is 5 years for a kidney, 11 months for a liver, 4 months for a heart, 4 months for a lung, 1.5 years for a kidney and pancreas, 2 years for a pancreas. There are approximately over 170 million people in the U.S. who are registered as donors. But of those, not everyone who registers as a donor is actually able to donate, which is why it's so important to register. If you are not already registered as an organ donor, please consider registering and hopefully saving a life. And also please consider living donation. If I can live through it, and I'm pretty not tolerant of pain, everybody else can do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will come down and take a picture.
Look here, everybody. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Get a little closer. Right, I'm gonna take one here with Art. Here we go. One more. All right, thank you.
We'll now have a message from Superintendent Moises Aguirre.
Thank you, President Segura. And before I begin, I just have to say, wow, what a way to center the conversation in the meeting and really give us a sense of perspective. So thank you. Good evening and buenas tardes. Welcome to our April 10th board meeting. I hope everybody had a great spring break and an opportunity to recharge as we prepare to sprint to the end of the school year. We had a great event at Montgomery High School to celebrate our Teachers of the Year at our annual Salute to Teachers. So congratulations to all of the teachers who were honored and celebrated. It was a great opportunity to come together. I believe it was the first time since the beginning of the pandemic we actually had an opportunity to come together. So it was a really nice event and a nice way for us to be able to see each other again in person. Also had an opportunity to attend our district's annual dance concert, which took place at Eastlake High School. It was a great event. Again, great work to everybody and all of the students who participated. We also had an opportunity to welcome Alex Morgan of the San Diego Wave, San Diego's professional women's soccer team. She was at Montgomery Middle School to kick off an effort to support our female students and athletes in the South Bay. So thank you to Ms. Morgan and to Sweetwater Principal Ms. Alejandra Insunza, who helped to MC that event, as well as to various other members of our district who supported that event. Thank you for supporting that. District team had the opportunity to attend Cesar Chavez Las Mañanitas breakfast in honor of the late great labor leader. It was a great event. A number of our students were recognized for participating in the Cesar Chavez service clubs. It was, again, a great opportunity to highlight the great work our students are doing. Also had an opportunity to attend the statewide conference for nutrition services, the California Nutrition Services Association, their advocacy day in Sacramento. Thank you to our very own Mr. Eric Span, Director of Nutrition Services, for being a statewide leader and advocating for nutrition services and continued support and resources from both the state and federal government. So great work, Mr. Span, on representing our district and our entire nutrition services team. Lastly, also had an opportunity to join the Port of San Diego, UC San Diego, and the Birch Aquarium, as well as San Diego Unified School District in a press conference to begin a partnership to focus on a seaport climate science program for our students in National City. Again, this is pretty innovative. They've invited students from Granger Junior High School as well as National City Middle to be our kind of our first cohort to go through that program. It's a great partnership with UC San Diego and Birch around the issues of emerging climate science. And so again, what a great way for us to be able to leverage the laboratory that is our natural environment here in San Diego. So thank you to all the partners who are supporting us with that. And with that, that's my update. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Superintendent. I will now report from our Student Board Representative, Ms. Lillian Carriaga.
Lila Carriaga.
I'm so sorry. I wrote it down too in pencil.
It's okay. Good evening. I hope everyone had a fruitful weekend and a good break. This week, the AC presidents didn't have too many things to say, but something coming up are the CASP tests for 9th and 11th graders, something that students often dread or worse, choose not to put their best foot forward in. Today I took the math portion of the CASP, and something that I noticed that I think really pushed students to try their best was a counselor coming in and giving the purpose for taking the test, mentioning how colleges may look at the scores to determine readiness for levels in math and English. That face-to-face communication alleviated many of my students' concerns, my fellow students' concerns, or general lack of motivation for the CASP. However, I think the test is still a weak point for many students, as their scores are never published, nor is there any punishment for not doing well on them. And a weak point that will hopefully be repaired through continuous motivation on behalf of counselors, teachers, and administrators. This Saturday, April 15th, there is a 30th annual Adelante Mujer conference with the theme of building bridges from 8 a.m. to 1:05 p.m. at Rancho Del Rey. This conference is uniting Latina students from across the district to empower them and help them learn more about careers and future professions. On April 27th, at Hilltop High School, we will be holding the first ever Youth Mental Health Summit, where 10 to 12 student leaders from each school across the district will be selected to attend and discuss important matters related to mental health. What is so special about the summit is that it's student-led, where the students will be guiding the discussions and the breakout sessions. I'm incredibly privileged not only to be a part of the creation of this, but to be coming back to the board with all the information about how students across the district feel about mental health and how we can better cater to their needs, because in the end, this is their district. Next board meeting, I'm inviting students from Olympian High School and hopefully from Rancho Del Rey to give a presentation on robotics, giving insight to the board on the CTE program, and to hear what exactly those wonderful students have been up to and why it is so important for them and, of course, the district. Lastly, on May 13th, SUHSD will host the first ever GSA student conference. This effort is essential in empowering students. This conference will be held at Otay Ranch High School. Workshops will be open for parents, students, and staff. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for that report. Let's move on to D1. Conduct a public hearing for the public to respond to the Sweetwater Union High School District's initial proposal to California Employee Association CSEA and its Chapter 258, 471, and 731, the exclusive representative of the classified bargaining unit, and approve the initial proposal from the district to CSEA. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve the initial proposal to
So moved.
CSEA? Thank you. Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. D2, conduct a public hearing for the public to respond to the Sweetwater Union High School District's initial proposal to the National Association of Government Employees, NAGE, R12-050 SEIU, the exclusive representative of the Supervisors Bargaining Unit, and approve the initial proposal from the district to NAGE. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
The hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve the initial proposal?
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
D3, conduct a public hearing for the public to respond to the Sweetwater Union High School District's initial proposal to the Sweetwater Education Association, CTA, NEA, SEA, the exclusive representative of the Teachers Bargaining Unit, and approve the initial proposal from the district to SEA. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
Hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second.
Second?
Vote, please.
Carriaga? Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great. This is the point on the agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not on the agenda and have 3 minutes each to do so pursuant to board bylaw. The board may limit the time for public comment on any signal topic to 20 minutes per topic. The Board of Trustees cannot legally take action on or respond to matters not posted on the public agenda, but will refer the matters to the superintendent office for review and report. Speakers shall refrain from using profanity and shall speak in a respectful manner. Thank you for your cooperation.
Kathleen Shears?
Good evening. Miss Lila, you and those you represent give old folks like me hope for the future, and I thank you. I would like to begin by acknowledging leadership in the district office for their quick and informative responses to questions I had on some of the agenda items this evening, specifically Dr. Winters and Ms. Quirk. Their responses saved time and my visits to this podium. Last month, I questioned district priorities regarding expenditures of bond monies, specifically Prop O and DD. A DIAS response, just because we hire a consultant, doesn't necessarily mean we're going to adhere to their recommendations. That's a paraphrase. With all due respect, when the district first proposed the consultant's price tag, Ms. Adato and I were vehemently against it. Historically, we had watched previous high-priced consultants' recommendations gather dust on a shelf. We were assured this $1.8 million would be different. I personally attended many of the on-site campus visits where plans were shared. Another response last meeting was the alphabetical listings I referenced should not be interpreted as listings of priority. Let's pretend Castle Park High School is your home. Your home is in need of repair. You refinance. You have inspections which result in a list of important needs. Number 1, infrastructure. Number 2, 1,200, 100, 102, 1,400, 1,300, 1,600, 1,500, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 building modernizations. Upgrade stairs and ramps to conform with the ADA and current codes. New 2-story building with technology and science. Just want to share that right there. But you decide a football field is your priority and a new quad your second. Irresponsible decision is not harsh enough. Since the last meeting, I have spent hours, which total a full week, researching, purchase of new ink cartridges, which does not make my husband happy, and 4 reams of paper. I have collected, downloaded, printed, organized data regarding how our bond dollars have been and are being spent on this current board's and previous board's votes. The data is indicative of a dais that was and is failing. Ms. Emerald, Ms. Lopez Cepeda, have you asked for and reviewed the $1.8 million Jacobs Master Facilities Plan? Have you reviewed individual site plans and counted the number of buildings in poor condition? Ms. Lopez Cepeda, though the old schools are not in your area, your vote too is indicative of your priorities. In closing, page 15, paragraph 3 of the Jacobs Master Plan identifies 3 main areas of need throughout Sweetwater. Number 1, repair upgrades of classrooms. Number 2, I'm closing, improve safety and security at all campuses. Number 3, fix deteriorating infrastructure and utilities. Folks,
Thank you.
I'm not going away. Thank you very much.
Katina Rondo?
Hello, good evening. Katina Rondo speaking as an individual. Last month I reported on the number of temporary teachers Sweetwater Union High School District currently has and how HR has not recalled a single RIF teacher this academic school year. That means since last July until now, not one RIF teacher has been recalled. Furthermore, if you look at tonight's L1 report, you'll see Sweetwater Union High School District continues to hire more temporary teachers. And yet, on March 17th, HR made over 24 plus acting administrators permanent. If the district can find money to make acting administrators permanent, then you can surely find the funds to recall a single RIF teacher or counselor. I also saw in tonight's report, under approval of expenditures, the district is sending our labor relations guy to a fundamentals training course for labor relations. This doesn't make sense. He's been on the job for quite some time now. Perhaps you may all realize now what we SEA folks have always known, and what I've shared with this board before. My former SEA union president has their weaknesses and challenges. We've always known it, and it appears you may now know it if you're asking trustees to approve an expenditure to train them in a fundamentals course on labor relations. Last week, the Hetchinger report came out with an article titled Hidden Expulsions: How Schools Kick Students Out But Call It a Transfer. I'll quote from the article. The 38,000 student Sweetwater Union High School District expelled just 23 students over the 5-year time period. It transferred 626 for specific discipline reasons and logged in another 4,583 transfers to alternative education schools. Sweetwater ranked the highest amongst the highest of all school districts researched. Though it is vague as to why we would refer so many students to alternative ed, I can share this scenario. Many students attend school on comprehensive campuses and begin to fail, yet they are held there for far too long, until just before the closing of a semester. That's when the rush of referrals pours into the alternative ed programs. We're busting right now, especially with the closing of learning centers, and they're all going into IS. Parents are frustrated to learn that all semester long, Sweetwater Union High School District has collected ADA monies for their kid, and yet they're walking out at the end of the semester with a receipt of 0. They've earned 0 credits. Us alt ed teachers are like frantically trying to piece together something to get maybe 1 credit. It's mind-boggling. Why can they collect the ADA on the kids? Well, because they attend school. In alt ed programs, we don't get to collect ADA unless we have proof of work. That's just how the code is. By law, I think there should be a reason given for such transfers of these kids. There should be evidence or documentation of all the interventions that administrative teams have attempted, like counseling, home visits, etc. Sweetwater needs to review the Sweetwater needs to review the multi-tier systems that support the students, because when we don't address it, like there's nothing under alt ed again in this agenda, when we don't address it, are the needs of our most vulnerable at-risk kids, then that just kind of shapes up that pipeline to prison. And if you guys know me and my story, because I've shared it and it's been written about, I speak about my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Chavira.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Aguirre, and staff. I'm Jean Chavira, teacher at Marcia Vista High School and proud graduate of Capsule Park High School. I'm here tonight to ask you, the district, and the members of SEA, SCGA, SCEA 258, CSEA 471, and CSEA 731 to make bargaining health benefits the main priority. The district and the unions must bargain for full health care for all employees. This would make Sweetwater competitive with other districts like San Diego Unified, which has full health care coverage, when trying to attract new teachers and retain veteran teachers. For the unions, this is the right thing to do for its members with families that are struggling to make ends meet after having to spend close to $12,000 a year more in health benefits than their single colleagues without children. Employees of Sweetwater with families, you need to let your bargaining teams know that this has to be their main objective. This is a win-win proposal for the district and the employees of Sweetwater. This will make a great impact on the health and welfare of your employees, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavira.
Michelle Beal.
Ms. Carriaga, thank you for recognizing that the one-on-one conversation with the counselors does help when looking at testing. I'd like to read a portion of an email that was shared with me. I've removed the names. Subject is IS applications. All. Before break, I finally got clarification that we will be keeping all our students in the Learning Center until the end of this school year. During the remaining weeks, the counselor will be meeting with families to discuss placement should they not graduate in June. The counselor will fill out the applications and send to staff for signatures. We will then send all applications together to IS at the end of the year. Signed, Assistant Principal. This email was shared with me because counselors are feeling pressured to refer all remaining Learning Center students to independent studies, which completely contradicts the district's message on December 13, 2022, which stated that Learning Center students would have a choice of remaining alternative education programs. Additionally, it doesn't appear that the other remaining programs are even a viable option for the Learning Center students, as most programs are not accepting the current applications. Here's where the counselors have become confused and somewhat frustrated. There seems to be conflicting information between what the district's message is and what's being communicated to site administrators. Although we do not support the closure of the learning centers, counselors are always going to do the work that is required. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right. I realize that many of you might see this as counselors whining and not wanting to be part of the solution, but that simply is not true. This is simply counselors seeking clarification while anticipating what will happen if independent study is the only option for these students. Counselors anticipate that if independent study is the only available option, we'll most likely see those 100 or 15 so students drop out, which ultimately reflects on the district as a whole, and that's something that we as counselors want to help the district to avoid. The primary responsibility of a counselor is to advocate for our students, but it's also to keep the district informed and work with the district on matters that we think can be avoided by working together to find a solution. I think we can agree the implementation of a number of items this year saw counselors continuously bring forth anticipated concerns to both site and district leadership in the hopes that we could work together to address the matters and improve learning and learning opportunities for students. Counselors are on the forefront, so to speak, right? We're on the front lines, and we tend to have a better perspective of how decisions that are made will ultimately affect sites, students, and even other staff and other associations. Our hope is that the district will utilize our expertise, and for some of us, our number of years of experience, and work together to solve concerns that may arise along the way. Remember, at the end of the day, this isn't about the association versus the district or the association versus the superintendent or the board. It's just about doing what's right for our students.
No further speakers.
Thank you. All right, Clerk of the Board, will you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
The following items are pulled. F3 by staff, F6 by the public, F9 by the public, G2 by Ms. Emerald, G7 by Mr. Segura, G12 by the public, L1 by the public, M1 by the public, M2 by the public, and O3 by Mr. Solis.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We can move to F3, report on board request for information and policy direction to staff and board communication. Anybody want to go first? Yes, Mr. Solis.
Thank you, President Segura. I want to just say, I hope everybody had a great spring break and is recharged for the completing of the rest of the year. And also want to congratulate our newest California School Board Member Association Region 17 delegate, our very own colleague, Elva Lopez Zepeda. So we have three votes in there. So congratulations. And the CSBA had a great legislative advocacy meeting, or had great legislative advocacy meetings with our local state elected officials a few weeks ago. And we'll be having meetings in Washington, D.C. with our representatives in Capitol Hill the week of April 24th to discuss topics such as special education, mental health, staffing shortages, broadband, and cybersecurity. So it was perfectly, Ms. Laila, that you brought that up, because if I could get some info from you so I can take it with me, that would be fantastic. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Lopez Zepeda.
Trustee Solis, you're taking my thunder again. This past month, I attended the DLAC-DPAC joint meeting, and I have to say that it was 2 hours of nonstop. It was well planned, well executed. I went to the different groups, and I got to meet and talk with parents in a very small, intimate setting. And let me share some of their concerns. Number one, Castle Park, focusing more on modernization and infrastructure over sporting venues. Okay, that was their number one concern. Another concern that was shared with me was National City has dual language programs in the elementary, yet when they get to the middle school, there are no dual language programs at home in their community, and so they want to move towards working towards having them in National City, Middle, and Granger Junior High. So those were the major concerns that were shared with me. I met a lot of parents. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope to attend more of these meetings. Oh, and then I was part of the group that attended Las Mañanitas, where they celebrated some activists that have gone out of their way for the betterment of our community. It was wonderful to see our district represented with the student clubs, the Chavistas, who focus on community activism, peaceful activism to get things done in their community. So that was very enlightening, and it was like, we need to grow this in our district. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll go next. So I'd like to welcome everybody back from spring break, and I hope the students and staff had a restful break. It's amazing to think that we have less than 2 months till graduation. Another school year have gone by, but I hope that it was a restful break. And I'd like to also congratulate Trustee Elba Lopez-Cepeda for her recent election as a CUCA delegate. She's voted on by delegates, and it's very hard to get 3 delegates on that as a CSBA delegate, because it's just very difficult to do. So that just shows me that you built a lot of trust, and people just admire you for your leadership, and that's why you were voted into that position. So congratulations, and you'll be a positive influence on behalf of all students, I don't doubt. I also attended the regional kickoff for the California Clean Days along with the superintendent, Trustee Emerald. I don't know, at Southwest Middle, and so it was the California Clean Days, actually Clean California Days of Action, through the San Diego office. Caltrans funded the Sustainability Center at our middle school, Southwest Middle, where they actually did some. There was a lot of people there, and it was great. There was media there, and where not me. I wore my nice shoes so I wouldn't have to get dirty. Where a pollinator planter was transformed. It was a formed weed bank, then it turned into a pollinator planter. And there was a garden created, and there's going to be a future orchard. We toured. There was probably about 15 STEM classes going on during that day, which was very exciting, and we went through a number of them. And I'd like to thank Caridad Sanchez from Caltrans and Assemblymember David Alvarez for the support for our schools and for our climate, and the governor and the legislature. And then lastly, I'd like to congratulate my wife, who's a principal at John Otis, who was selected as Principal of the Year by her peers at the California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators. Yes. So, thank you. And so that's award is a week from Wednesday. And congratulations also to Superintendent Dr. Eduardo Reyes for being selected as the Superintendent of the Year by that same organization. So we look forward to representing at that. And I also too attended the Cesar Chavez with ceremony with that Carlos and Linda Negrete put together. They've been doing that for a long time, and I know we have some clubs at some of our schools, and I really look forward to growing that. And it's really a breakfast where the students, it's led by the students and the Chavistas, and a lot of times I've gone to some of these, a lot of these in the past in my former life as a labor union leader at the Electrical Workers Union, and usually they get going, and then you see people filtering out like really fast. Nobody leaves at all there because the students are giving their heartfelt is participating in these in this function, and it's really good, and I really enjoy it, and hope to, as or the trustee has said, to support that, continue to support that, and grow it. And that's all I have. Anyone else? Okay, so with that, oh yes, Dr. Arancibia, sorry.
I wanted to say, that was really wonderful going to Southwest Middle and having, participating in that event with Assemblymember Alvarez, and we were really hosted well by Principal Ornelas. And it was just wonderful to see the community come out and actually participate in this beginning a community garden, which I think should be something should be offered at most of the school sites that we have. And for me, it took it was a special moment because that's where I began teaching. So to see this kind of full circle coming around, it was really, really wonderful of it. And I just felt really blessed to be there.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, Southwest, of course, is one of my schools, and it was very exciting to be there. Kids rolling up their sleeves, teachers, others in the community rolling up their sleeves to create a great model of sustainability at Southwest Middle School. And then Superintendent and I were led into the hydroponics tent of sorts. And these kids are pretty amazing. They are germinating seeds there in their little hydroponic lab. They're growing plants, and they're harvesting especially leafy vegetables that they're serving now in the cafeteria. And my next stop, of course, will be Southwest High School, where they also have chickens and they serve their eggs in the cafeteria, I understand. So some great things happening. There are also teams of people who are looking to bring more trees to the South Bay, and looking to our school campuses as possible places where we can start planting trees, which of course help to heal our environment. And the Chavistas in particular, under the guidance of Linda and Carlos Legretti, are expanding Chavistas here into our area, and I hope that everybody will welcome them with open arms. These are leaders of tomorrow, and they're making a difference today. So thank you.
Thank you. And I think we can now move on to F6, pulled by the public, in regards to the 2023 Sunshine Reopener with CTA, NEA, SEA.
Yes, I have one speaker, Lourdes Renteria.
Good evening. Buenas tardes, Dr. Aguirre, President Segura, and Board of Trustees. I am Lourdes Renteria, Bargaining Chair for Sweetwater Education Association. Our members desire to create a more professional and positive working environment in alignment with the values that the association and the district share, creating and sustaining an equitable teaching and learning environment that facilitates the success, safety, and well-being of each student. We are also committed to supporting and retaining highly qualified educators. It is the hope of the association to work together with the district to create a climate of transparency and professionalism. With this in mind, the association intends to open the following articles. Article 7, class size. The association has an interest in creating safe classroom environments for all subject areas, including physical education, career and technical education, and visual and performing arts programs. Therefore, the association proposes modifying language pertaining to class size. Article 18, health and welfare benefits. The association believes that the health of members and their families is paramount for the delivery of consistent, quality education to our students. The district has an obligation to provide greater support to SEA members and their families to be competitive with neighboring districts. Therefore, the association proposes an improved benefit program for unit members. Article 36, wages. The association believes employees must be fairly compensated, and therefore the association proposes fair, equitable, and competitive compensation, including base schedule, extra service assignments, and stipends, to be competitive with the neighboring districts and career fields. Article 37, special education. The association has an interest in modifying and expanding this article to ensure all students with disabilities receive an equitable education where all individual needs are met, in compliance with the state and federal guidelines. Therefore, the association proposes improvements in services for students with special needs and for their service providers. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's it. So we have to vote on that. Do I have a motion for F?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
That takes us to F9, ratify notice of district entered settlement proposed pursuant to education code.
Yes, I have one speaker, Michelle Beal.
I do not represent SCA, but we are partners, so just bear this in mind. While I'd rather see $0 in special education settlement agreements, I'm happy to see and I'm gladly take 2 on the agenda for this evening. The 2 tonight bring the total for the year to $625,845.63. I'm going to try this from a different perspective tonight. Rather than look at my continued need to highlight what the district is paying in special education settlement agreements as a personal attack, allow me to offer you my perspective as a counselor and as an association president. As a union president, but more importantly as a counselor and student advocate, I'm expressing concerns regarding the current and continued staffing shortages in our district's special education program. As counselors, we are extremely invested in our students. Dr. Aguirre, you have a daughter who, you know, the counselors are very invested in our students. And it's upsetting when we see our special education students who not only struggle in their courses, but become discouraged and isolated. While I understand the issue is multifaceted and not isolated to Sweetwater Union High School District, I do question why our district has been so ineffective in ensuring that students with disability receive the necessary services that they are legally entitled to receive, such as access to an appropriately credentialed teacher trained and authorized to serve students with disabilities. I don't believe that this is an insurmountable task. As we all know, hiring is a core function of human resources, and from my own personal knowledge and experiences, former human resources leaders had successful partnerships with local institutions of higher education and offered early contracts at job fairs, as other districts are currently doing and have been doing for the last several months. These practices, as well as creating grow your own district programs, could be beneficial in attracting and retaining highly qualified special education staff. Furthermore, other districts incentivize teachers to teach students with disabilities. For example, San Diego Unified is currently offering a $10,000 incentive. I question why we are not generating ideas and exploring similar incentives to attract and retain highly qualified special education staff. The board and public should demand nothing less than providing what is right for our students. On behalf of the students with disabilities that we are entrusted to serve, as well as their families, I urge the district to prioritize the needs of these students and take proactive measures to ensure that all students receive the high quality education they deserve. Again, I do not represent the teachers, but I believe that we are together partners.
I need a motion for ratification of this.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia? Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, that moves us to G2. Summer Bridge Program. Oh, no,
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's the service. N4, yeah. Thank you.
Is there somebody here from the N4 organization? I know they're based in Georgia, right? So, but considering the fact that they want more money from us, I would have hoped somebody would have been here to explain the situation. And the situation, from what I understand, is this company is doing some work for us, and they have had an employee at the company who was doing that work, and then she left the organization. And now they find themselves in the lurch, and they're coming to the district asking for an additional $84,040 to pay this ex-employee to finish the contract and comply with their requirements under the contract. And I just wonder how this gets to us, and how we are even considering the request that they're making, especially when it's tied to their threat that they are not going to be able to make their deadline, our deadline, if they don't get this extra money. I pulled one of the original contracts here, and I'd asked for a copy of the original contract because I noticed it here on this regarding this newest change order. There are some general assumptions and obligations, and if we don't meet those general assumptions and obligations, then we could be liable to pay extra money. So I need somebody to explain for me if there was something that the district did, changing the scope of the work or the deadlines that this company is working under, that would put us in a position where we might be liable for this extra $84,040. So whoever can answer that question would be very helpful.
Thank you. Superintendent?
Thank you, President Segura. So I will ask the project lead on this, Dr. Winters, to provide the general response. In terms of a legal liability, that I will refer to general counsel. I don't know that this is the most appropriate venue for conversation about legal strategy, but I will ask Dr. Winters to provide context, how we got here.
They of course brought up the issue of we may not be able to comply with the contract, and I see that as sort of trying to bend us over a little bit. So, yeah, Dr. Winter, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good evening, and thank you for that question. I'd love to add a little more context to the reason for this ask. Indeed, what happened, as you stated, that employee who works for Infor, who was an expert on the area of HR, human resources, left the company. Actually, Infor did replace that person with more than one person that did the same work. It was actually our team who asked that she be brought back as a part of the project, because it was our opinion that she had better knowledge of than the folks who had replaced her, and that she had a knowledge of Sweetwater system in particular on human resources that we felt was necessary to complete the project successfully. So we negotiated with them to bring her back, even though she was no longer an employee at Infor, and thus the additional cost is incurred on the project because they do have other folks doing the work she was doing, but we felt not at the same level.
So they run into a personnel issue and we have to pay extra to entice her to come back and do the work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and as I mentioned, they also are paying folks to do that work. Again, it was our judgment that that work was not sufficient based on what we had experienced previously.
So are you saying that the district changed the scope of the project?
I don't think in this particular area, I would say the scope of the project was changed, no.
Okay, we didn't change any of the obligations, like when this project's supposed to be finished?
In this particular ask, no, although the project has changed its timeline, but that's a much longer story.
Okay, so this is where I guess I turn to our legal counsel and say, well, if we didn't do anything to change the assumptions or the obligations under this contract, why is it on us to make up this extra cost of $84,000, which ain't chump change, right? I mean, that's real money that could be used in our classrooms. Why would we have to pick up that tab? Why not the company doing it, since it was their labor issue that put us in this position?
So when you hire a contractor, you are not necessarily hiring specific staff. They have staff on the project that can do the job and that could get this job done on time, on budget, completely done, at least from what we're hearing. And we made a decision that based on our comfort and how many times, frankly, we want to make sure this project rolls out on the exact timeline that we need it to, because we have worked very closely with our association, CSEA in particular, around the rollout. We made commitments to them around certain types of training that would be providing, timelines. we felt more comfortable with this staff member, so we asked them to assign a specific staff member. When you ask for someone to assign a specific staff member, you pay for that potentially. And that is the place where we are, because we can't control, just as I couldn't control if one of our staff left tomorrow and we had to assign someone else. In times in the past, we would have had to hire a consultant for that. So that is the justification. Our team felt it was necessary to add these costs to the project.
Okay, I still don't see why we have to pick up the tab. And especially when they're saying, well, this was the only person we had who could do this.
They're not saying that. They
Okay.
have teams that have been assigned to do this work, and
So
we
have-
feel more comfortable
And have
with
we then
this
authorized
individual.
them to go ahead and hire more people to do this project?
They already have enough people hired to do this work that are on the project by their labor, et cetera. We have made a determination that we prefer to have this individual based on the fact that she's worked on the project for a number of years. So we are asking them to utilize a certain person, and that's the reason they are asking us to pay.
Okay, so is that then changing the assumptions in the contract?
I believe that if we did not have the right to assign staff in the past and we are asking them to assign a specific person, there is something different we are asking. Beyond that, I would prefer to, if we're gonna do a legal analysis, do that where it should be appropriately done in closed session. I'm uncomfortable going deeper than that. I can give you that as a general answer without analyzing each provision. I don't have the contract in front of
And
me.
I appreciate the sensitivity here, but this just, this doesn't pass the smell test for me, that's all. I don't feel as though we should be paying a contractor extra money because one of their capable employees left and now they have to scramble to meet their obligations under the contract they signed. And it shouldn't come back to us to pony up more money that could be better used, I mean, in all kinds of areas in this district. I think they should eat it, I do.
So,
I think
thank
they
you,
should
trustee,
pick up the
thank you,
eight.
trustee Emerald. And-
Okay.
And,
So-
no, go, please.
Well,
Going forward.
I was going to move.
No, but I'm just saying, I just want to remind everybody, not just you, that if you go through the chair, please, when talking to somebody, so we keep skipping that, and just say through the chair, and then you can go ahead, not just because it's me, but because that should be the chair's.
That's okay. I've said my piece.
Thank you. No, this is where you're supposed to say it, and I'll just add that briefly, this has been a long road that we've been on, and while I don't particularly, this is what it is, and I think we're just so far along, and we're at such a critical point of where we're trying to implement this year, and it's critical to help us keep us out of what has happened in the past and the way we account, and I think we just have to get across the finish line with this and get it rolled out. So with that, I think Dr. Ancibia?
I want a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second? I'll second it. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
No.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
No.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. And that takes us to, please help me, Deanne, I have my paper.
Gene 7, pulled by you, sir.
Thank you. So I'll just be brief on this. I just, like I had mentioned in other past board meetings where we're appropriating new CTE hardware and to improve our programs. I'm just super supportive of this, and I just think, and there's several of them on the agenda. I don't need to pull out every one of them, but I totally support this and look forward to our students using the latest and greatest and getting trained on the latest and greatest devices as they move forward. And because I think it's important for them to have different experiences before they go to college, before they go to a career, and if we have the cutting edge equipment, that just makes it more rounded, and maybe they want to get a job right out of high school before they go to college. So with that, I'll make a motion to support. Vote yes. Or
Second.
I make a motion to approve. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who seconded? Thank you.
Vote please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
G12.
Yes, I have one speaker, Michelle Beal.
I know each time that Blue Duck comes across the agenda, I speak to it, and here I am again. I'm really excited to see 5 more schools utilizing the project-based learning opportunities for students. And while I'm excited, I can tell you, having witnessed firsthand, the students are about to be equally as excited about making their own skateboards, which incidentally seems to be a perfect opportunity to coordinate with Rolling from the Heart, which appears later in the agenda. Project-based learning is an opportunity for our students to learn while allowing them to express their creativity, imagination, and artistic abilities, which ultimately sees them more invested and wanting to do a good job. Having witnessed firsthand, students are excited about learning without even realizing that they are learning. Given that so many schools are now using Blue Dot and so many students will be designing and building skateboards, I hope the district considers some type of skateboard display or skateboard event for the students, much like they did with the art exhibit. It would be a great opportunity for students to showcase all their hard work and to be able to talk to the process. Thank you.
Thank you. I entertain a motion for G12.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
That takes us to L1.
Yes, I have one speaker, Ms. Shelbio.
On March 13th, 2023, Human Resources put forth a resolution releasing 205 temporary certificated personnel. Just a few days later, Human Resources sent out an email announcing the change of over 20 assistant principals and psychologists from acting to named. Tonight on the agenda, Human Resources has an additional 3.6148 FTAs added in temporary teaching assignments. I'm sure you can see where if you're one of those 205 temporary counselors or teachers that are being released, this can become confusing, frustrating, and also can be seen as a little insensitive. The timing of the email that saw assistant principals and psychologists change from acting to named was extremely poor, as it sent the message to that the district values management over counselors and teachers. Again, rather than look at this from a personal attack, look at this as constructive criticism on how the district can improve and put forth thought and consideration into the timing of information being disseminated, as it often lends to poor perspective from others. I think we can agree that no one is perfect and everyone can always look for ways to improve. After all, we are in the business of education, and we are all or should be lifelong learners, so we can always learn from things.
Thank you. Entertain a motion for L1.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura? Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
M1, pulled by the public.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Shears.
Who amongst you on the dais serving as community elected board members have reviewed the attachments at the bottom of the page and totaled the amounts we are proposing to spend on sports facilities? Millions upon millions upon millions upon millions. Have you compared the proposed expenditures to proposed expenditures for infrastructure, classroom modernizations, demolition of old deteriorated buildings, and planned construction of new buildings? Does it not matter to you the conditions our students are expected to learn in or our teachers are expected to teach in? In closing, it is refreshing to witness dais members who take the time to analyze and question how taxpayers' dollars are being spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Entertain a motion for M1. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. We'll go to M2.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Shears.
99% of this agenda item lists fields restoration for 6 schools. 2 of the schools listed are East Side, 4 West Side. The 4 West Side schools who on the dais, the 4 West Side schools, who on the dais has reviewed the master plan and reviewed the number of classroom buildings at those schools which were identified as in need of major repair or demolition. Where in the Jacobs Master Plan does it prioritize sports facilities over classrooms? It doesn't. Do you care about our students? Do you care about our teachers? You care about football? That's for darn sure. I don't mind football fields. We put one in at Montgomery. I don't mind new gyms. We put one in at Montgomery. But you know what was also attached to those expenditures? Classroom buildings. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong. Ms. Lopez Cepeda, Ms. Emerald, respectfully, please look at the numbers. Add up those. And I'm 73. I tried to add up the millions, as I've told you before. I went to Catholic school. They didn't teach us much math, and these fingers can't add that many millions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Entertain a motion for M2.
So moved.
Second. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And lastly, we have O2, pulled by Trustee Solis.
03, sir.
O3.
If I may, President Segura?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to recuse myself out of an abundance of caution. There's no monetary interest, so just, I'm going to recuse myself. Oh, yeah.
For O3. All right, we'll entertain a motion then for O3.
So moved.
I will second. Vote, please.
Carriaga?
Yes.
Arencibia? Emerald? Yes. Lopez Zepeda?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 recuse.
Thank you. And that's our meeting. We are adjourned.